Okay, so what is your take on this? You think the Bitmain guys wins or Mr. Fan wins? What's up guys? Welcome to another video. This is Charlie Lin. For the moment, when you're watching this video, I'm not in China, I'm in the USA. Specifically, I'm in the beautiful South Beach of Miami. Tomorrow, I may be meeting with the legendary Mike with the Hawk Crypto, who is also in Florida. I'm really looking forward to meeting him. So I'm gonna stay in Miami for a few more days. If you happen to be in Miami as well or somewhere nearby, you can hit me up. And shortly after that, I'm gonna meet with more friends and customers across Atlanta, the North Carolina, New York, and Boston. So if I go to New York, I really would like to meet up with DJ Mice. I guess he's probably in New York or somewhere very close to Canada. DJ, if you're watching this, I can't wait to have a beer with you as soon as possible. Except for the above mentioned cities and places, I may also go to Texas to visit some of the mining farms. Mr. Fan, well, you know, the guy that does immersion cooling containers and boxes, gave me a lot of contacts all over America who are big miners. I'm definitely sure it's going to be a lot of learning curve for me. And of course, in the meantime, I really hope that I could bring out more content and videos when I'm making these tours. All right, pretty much about what I'm doing right now and what I'm about to do. Today's video subject is going to be about some of my takeaways from the WDMS 2022, which in full name is World Digital Mining Summit, which was held in Cancun, Mexico. All right, for any of you guys that don't know much about this WDMS, you can go to the Bitmain website to have a check. Basically, the WDMS is just about the Bitmain company inviting some corporations and individuals from all over the world to discuss cryptocurrency mining and digital asset investment. Okay, in today's video, I want to talk about, first of all, if I recommend the WDMS held by the Bitmain company. And secondly, I'm going to talk about some of the interesting miners featured in the summit. And then I'm going to talk to you about some of the interesting peoples that I meet in the summit and some of the ideas that they shared with me. And shortly after that, I also want to talk to you about some of the interesting companies that I know from the summit. And then lastly, I want to talk to you about my followers and customers I met in the summit. So first of all, I would like to talk to you about the WDMS itself. So the question is if I recommend this event or not. My answer is absolutely yes. Okay, so what makes me recommend this event? There are three factors. I would say it's good price, good accommodation, and good social networking. First of all, good price. What is the good price? It's only 1,000 US dollars and you can pay by bank transfer or 1,000 USDT. So that's really user friendly. Well, I mean, the Bitmain company does invite some people over, without charging them any money. But I think this event is really democratic because for anybody that just wants to present in the show can just buy a ticket, right? And the ticket is not that expensive. I mean, it's expensive if you only get to attend the show, but this ticket really affordably covers your hotel and accommodation in these 2 to 3 days. It's really a good deal. Then I want to talk about good accommodation. Well, the summit is held in the Grand Hotel Cancun in Mexico. It's definitely a beautiful hotel with a beautiful beach. They have amazing food, Mexican food, I guess. The hotel room has a large space with a really beautiful front view of the ocean. Okay, I also want to talk about great social networking. Because in these 2 to 3 days of summit, we only got to meet with like 100 or 200 people by max. To put it in perspective, it's really much like you're just going to a bar or a party. I really like that. So this summit gives you great cross-cultural experience and you can pretty much talk to anyone that you want to talk to and you don't have to worry about if the person that you talk to is too much of a big shot. Well, I don't mean you can talk to the Bitmain boss easily, right? And pretty much you can talk to almost everyone as much as you want. So in this sense, I would like to say this summit boasts a high level of democracy, and I really like that. Okay, the second subject today is interesting miners featured in the WDMS 2022. So the interesting miners featured at the show included S19XP hydro containers, and then the legendary, the most powerful Cardano miner in the world, KA3, and lastly, the Eagle Salt miner, which helps to mine CKB, KA7, which I don't know much about because primarily my attention is only onto those Bitcoin miners and other mainstream miners. Okay, so this S19XP hydro container is really powerful. At the show, we actually had a miniature of the container that was built to display how powerful the miners are gonna be. S19XP hydro container is gonna be having every miner as powerful as 250 terahash at an efficient power rate of 5,200 watt. So at the show, to understand about the S19XP hydro container a little bit better, I didn't just go to ask the Bitmain salespeople how impressive and how amazing the miner is. To the opposite, I asked them some of those most challenging questions. All right, so the first hard question that I asked Bitmain is that, is this S19XP hydro container full of miners that are just average S19 Pro miners that are overclocked? So their answer for me is no. They said they don't really have a concept for overclocking because probably they think that could damage the machine or it could shorten the life of the miners. So that's pretty much like saying if they say their miners is capable of hashing at 250 terahash, it is exactly 250 terahash or even more than that. Okay, so the second hard question that I threw to the Bitmain guy was, a US immersion cooling company told me that your hydro containers actually failed. Is that true? Because this immersion cooling company in the US told me that there are many causes leading to this container to fail. One of the factors is the hardness of the water. That is inevitable because you're with these expensive antminer hydro containers, you're not using one of those expensive dry coolers, which really guarantees the quality of the water. So the Bitmain guy's response to this is that this could be a rumor. I don't know whichever of them is true, but if you have some of your personal opinions, you can write them in the comment section. Okay, so the third hot question that I threw to the Bitmain guy was, why do you use hydro cooling, not immersion cooling? Immersion cooling is supposed to be more advanced and upgraded. This is a very expensive container. Why you are not using the most expensive solution? So the Bitmain guy's response to this is that they understand their own machines the best. And after many tests of cooling the miners, they figured out it's the hydro cooling, not immersion cooling, that's better for their machines. Well, maybe they mean the hydro cooling is going to do less harm to the machines, so the machines will have a longer life. And in the meantime, the hydro cooling comes at a lower cost and less engineering. So it's going to be a lot easier than immersion cooling. And they told me one of their other concerns for the immersion cooling is that immersion cooling may lead to the uneven distribution of temperature over the hash boards. So some of the chipsets may go wrong, and that could lead the miners to fail. Okay, my exploration for the S19XP hydro container does not end here. After the summit, I made a call to Mr. Fan, the guy that does immersion cooling, if you remember him. So when I told Mr. Fan that the Bitmain guy says the immersion cooling is too complicated because it involves a lot of engineering. But Mr. Fan's response to this is that there might be a lot of engineering work for the immersion cooling for the manufacturer. But for the users of the miners, it's going to be a lot easier work to do because they don't have to do a lot of changes to the miners. For example, with immersion cooling, all you need to do is just to remove some of those electric fans, and you can just dip the machines into the immersion cooling box and you're good to go. And for the concern that the immersion cooling could lead to uneven temperature over the hash boards of the machines, Mr. Fan's response to this is that his own immersion cooling boxes and containers are equipped with oil filtration design. So the oil is not going to be distributed unevenly. And in the meantime, Mr. Fan raised the concern that the hydro containers could eventually have water leaking problems because of those water tubes that are easy to plug and unplug. So in the beginning, it's all gonna be fine. But gradually, the water is gonna leak. Okay, so what is your take on this? You think the Bitmain guys wins or Mr. Fan wins? Okay, so the second interesting miner we want to talk about today is the KA3 Cadena miner. So during the WDMS 2022 held in Cancun, Mexico, every SVIP present in the show was eligible to purchasing up to 3 KA3 antminers, as long as in the meantime they hold an NFT for the membership. Right now in the market, the distributors and those scalpers for the KA3 antminers have been marked up the miners to up to 9, 10, or 11K. So if you wanted to purchase the KA3 antminer at a decent price to show up for the show in Cancun, was really worth it, and you get an extra vacation. Okay, however, we still don't know the lead time of these KA3 antminers of this batch. We hope this is going to be in December, but we guess it's going to be in January. Okay, so the third interesting miner at the show was K7 CKB miner. The specifications of the miner were revealed at the show, but not the price yet. The K7 Eagle Song miner is going to be capable of hashing at 63.5 terahash at a power rate of 3080 watt. And we guess the Bitmain company has not made a price for this miner yet, probably because they want to observe the market a little bit more so they can come up with a good price for themselves. Okay, after talking about if it's worthwhile attending the summit and introducing to you some of the interesting miners at the show, and right now I'm going to tell you some of the interesting people that I got to know and some of the interesting ideas I got to learn.